Hello there.
Hello there.
Kyle Katarn here.
And the Bendu.
Welcome back
The
to the
Bendu
Dork
in the
Forces
middle.
podcast, episode 94.
Yes, sir.
Bittersweet episode tonight because we're saying farewell to Skeleton Crew, the 8th and final episode. We just finished watching it. We're still riding the high of that exciting conclusion. But next week it's going to be all quiet on the Western Front. There's not going to be a new Star Wars for us to dive into, and that's starting to set in for me. I'm starting to feel a little sad about that. But man, that was a fun episode. That was a lot of fun.
It was a
We're
fun
going to be
show.
recapping it today here.
It's definitely a fun episode, fun show. Ironically enough, for me, it's a little sad to see this show go, but something that we were discussing way earlier in the evening before we were getting to the final episode of Skeleton Crew was how I'm working on the Inquisitors for Star Wars Shatterpoint.
That's right.
And their bases for the most part are done. We did a nice job really making some
looking good. Looking good.
And really trying to emphasize those ink washes, getting nice good base color on Fifth Brother.
Best friend, you're getting so good at painting. I am infinitely jealous of your painting skills. I'm not nearly on your level, man.
Teeny tiny little shark face. Try to see if we can get
yes, Fifth Brother. Look at that.
But so I don't know. I've been inspired by the Inquisitors and kind of was going through, a brief history of the Fortress Inquisitorius itself. And it's even though this show ended, I feel like there's so much quality Star Wars content out there. There's so much.
It really is.
Different things that can put on in the background, and even finds, with so many friends on the internet, there's easy ways to find episode lists of focusing on certain aspects of Star Wars, certain characters.
Yeah, curated playlists for what kind of Star Wars you're in the mood for these days.
And then it was just absolutely coincidental that in learning and in knowing Jod's backstory. I mean, do you want to just jump completely into the episode review first?
No, I don't. I want to start with the news, and then we're going to dive into this.
Yes, absolutely.
I was just waiting for a good moment for a segue. But since you were talking about your Shatterpoint minis, that's a good place to start off.
Absolutely.
We've got a couple things we want to talk about before we get into our full breakdown, and it will be spoilerific too. So starting with our news segment gives people a chance to finish watching the episode, and then they can tune in and join us for that discussion. But speaking of Star Wars Shatterpoint, I don't think this is even actually announced. I'm pretty sure it got leaked and then confirmed.
That's right.
Twilight of the Apprentice diorama set.
I tagged you in the Facebook group.
Yeah. That's where and that Facebook post apparently was a leak.
Oh,
look at that thing.
The diorama, it's so peaked. It's absolutely peaked. The use of free space and dead space comparatively to the diorama set of There's No More Running, which was also a Darth Vader set. It was Darth Vader and Kenobi from the Kenobi series, and unfortunately there was a lot of wasted space. There's a lot of wasted space in that diorama. But this thing, looking at this, the way that it's set up, it's absolutely itself a unit and looks like a living holocron.
I love the way the bases fit into the diorama. It's very clever.
Gorgeous.
The floor patterns line up like that, and very cool.
It's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Asmodee and Atomic Mass Games has been absolutely knocking it out of the park with their set designs, with their model designs. I will say on that note, my only criticism is that, please, for the love of God, stop giving us miniatures that are kicking off of something with the tactical rock. Okay, the flimsy ankles. Please give us solid bases without the weird.
That's real. That is real, man. I can't tell you how many minis I've broken off at the base
because of
trying to assemble them because the flimsy ass ankles, man.
Yeah, it's
you're
a little bit more stability.
Speaking facts right now.
It's absolutely beautiful, and I love that there are other pictures that zoomed in on the model set where, because we've had two different Darth Vaders so far in the show, or in the game. We've had classic Vader from A New Hope, and then we've had Vader from the Kenobi series, which similarly kind of has like more of the Revenge of the Sith build, since it's like literally happening right after.
Right.
But if you zoom in on Vader's head sculpt, they totally kept it to the Rebels / like Ralph McQuarrie sort of concept art.
It's a
like,
little more angular, a little longer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The Vader head looks super classic.
I really like the McQuarrie style, like that original aesthetic. Everything's a little elongated. People didn't love it for Rebels, but I got what they were doing. I very much appreciate that.
The lightsabers, the skinny toothpick blades is definitely like an aesthetic, but it's like after looking at it for so long, and after looking at the Inquisitor sabers so long, it just sort of became normal. You know?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it was the long necks on the Star Destroyers. That's the one thing that took me a minute to adjust to. But there was an episode in the final season where they all had to wear disguises to sneak back to Lothal, and every single one of their disguises was one of the original McQuarrie like outfit designs for a different character. It was fantastic. And then Zeb had like the tall, like Mobius style, like hat. That was awesome. But yeah, new Shatterpoint diorama coming soon. I'm going to attempt to paint it, I think, and we'll see.
It's going to be $130.
Okay, 130. That is some expensive plastic.
Just because preemptively, like I said, the You Cannot Run base set from the Kenobi series with Vader fighting not Old Man Kenobi, but like Hermit Kenobi.
Sure.
Like that one was running for $98. So yeah. So
okay. That's not that's within the realm of like where the other ones have been. That's not too bad
for Warhammer and Games Workshop stuff, I suppose. Absolutely,
it's that competitive with the other kind of tabletop things in the market. Exactly, that's kind of what I mean. But moving on, we've got a couple other things in the news I just want to briefly touch on. So this story comes from Fighter Guy on Blue Sky. A man in Indiana made an AT-AT costume for his horse, intending to only get a few pictures, and then removing it. But when he took off the headpiece, the horse got really upset and insisted that he put it back on, which made the horse happy again. And now the horse is not allowing him to remove the costume. And here's a photo of the horse in his AT-AT costume that he is refusing to let this man take off of him. He thought he was getting a quick picture, and instead he traded a horse for an AT-ST. The horse is like, no, this is permanent. I like the world better this way. So
I like the world better this way. That's exactly. It's covered. It's protected. It's warm. It doesn't have to deal with
that horse.
That's the future. We're looking at the future. This horse wants to crush the rebellion.
Hell yeah. The horse has seen the light. The horse was radicalized by Imperial propaganda, and he's like, no, I am AT-AT now.
I am the Empire. That is yes.
We're covering breaking and emerging news stories in the Star Wars world.
So silly.
So good luck to this man in Indiana. I hope he can eventually convince the horse to remove the costume. Or not. I'm fine with the horse just staying in AT-AT.
You just have to figure out how to feed it, I suppose.
Like, we have future horses now.
It's just going to be like any little kid, aka all of us, that's ever had a trick-or-treating Halloween costume, and we just wore the shit out of it until it fell apart and had holes. Or it got that point where we needed to take a shower or we needed to eat food.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I lived in a costume as a little kid at one point, I'm sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a universal experience, I think. I think
hilarious.
Little kids kind of do that. So speaking of little kids and childhood and blast from the past, do you remember Jedi Power Battles?
Yes.
Specifically like the episode 1 Jedi Power Battles game? Well, it's coming back. It's coming back remastered. Aspire Media, the studio, is bringing it back. But not only is it like HD textures and everything, they're actually adding new content to the game, like playable characters and stuff like that. The first of which, being Jar Jar.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Jedi Power Battles.
You seem perplexed.
It's like part of me remembers it, but part of me like doesn't remember it at all, because like the font that they used for that reminds me very much of the Pod Racer game, but also like
It was of that era for sure.
but then it was also Jedi Power Battles. Damn. Was that the one that was also vehicles? Jedi Power Battles episode 1. Interesting. Yeah, like my brain wants to remember it, but like I don't have.
I played the heck out of this game. I this is one of the few video games that I actually played before I started like taking gaming seriously, because I didn't play a whole lot growing up, but I always gravitated towards the Star Wars ones, and this was one of the ones that I had a lot of fun with.
Well, it's like I remember the individual like movie chapter games, like when episode 1 was its own game, and then Revenge of the Sith was its own game. God, that one was immaculate. That one was amazing playing by itself as episode 3. But like I kind of remember
that game was fantastic, and this is very similar to that.
Yeah, because I feel like this came out close to the same time as the Jango Fett Bounty Hunters. But like I feel like I was playing so many other Star Wars games at the same time that Jedi Battles came out, and I was like, yeah, maybe
Jedi Power Battles was released March 31st, 2000. And the Jango Fett game was released in 2002. So this predated it by about 2 years.
And then what was the game? What was the Star Wars game with that? It was just vehicles.
Well, episode 1 Racer. That was the pod racing game.
Well, it was like tank battles.
Oh, yeah. What was that game?
That was, yeah, because my neighbors had that at their
episode
home.
3, the game is.
And we played that a lot. We played episode 3 a lot, and we played Pod Racer for sure.
I love the swamp commercial where the bounty is hiding from Django, and he's got the straw and he's hiding in the swamp, and he just like puts his thumb over the top.
Yes, yeah.
I rewatched that commercial so many times because that was just like a little slice of live action Star Wars, you know. And they were
Star Wars Demolition. Is that what it was? I see you down there. I was like, that sounds very familiar, but I don't think so. Republic Commando, dude. Yeah, it came out at the same time, or like kind of roughly the same time. Commando was coming out there. It was still fun. It was their kind of in-game competition to Halo. It gave players like multiplayer options of like squad gameplay, but still being within the Star Wars universe. And then KOTOR, and then the most brilliant.
Well, KOTOR, of course, KOTOR.
Oh, but that was also when the first Xbox came out too, so that was like a little bit past the 2000.
Bombad Racing was great. Yes, I remember that one. So here's Star Wars Demolition, if this is in fact the game you're talking about. This is like a tiny 360p trailer, so bear with it.
Star Wars for Sony PlayStation and Sega Dreamcast. Brace yourself for Star Wars Demolition.
This is an aggressively 2000s trailer, man.
Featuring 10 of the biggest, baddest vehicles and characters this side of the Twin Suns. Take on Rancor, Aura Singh, Boba Fett, Landspeeder, Snowspeeder, Pod Racer, AT-ST, and Desert Skiff. Crush them in 2-player, tournament, high stakes, and hunt a droid. Command the heaviest firepower in the galaxy with laser cannons, concussion missiles, proton torpedoes, tractor beams, and thermal detonations. Journey to Dagobah, Cloud City, Dagobah, Death Star 2, and Hoth. Hit demolish or be demolished, because it's an all-out fight to the galactic finish.
Sunday.
From the makers of Vigilante 8 and Vigilante 8 Second Offense, Star Wars Demolition. Tell them Jabba sent ya.
That was a pretty rocking ass Star Wars trailer.
That was, oh my god, that was
aggressively 2000s.
That was if the people of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia were told to make a Star Wars video game. That was absolutely phenomenal. Getting to rewatch it, yes, that was
the one you played.
It was, in fact, yeah. And me and the neighbor kids, we would all do the Separatist droid tanks, and we would literally just do tank battles and just shoot each other.
It was weird what they chose there. You've got like droid tank,
pod racer,
this and that, and then desert skiff.
Yeah, which is just a dude on a.
Who's going to choose the desert skiff when you've got a pod racer
dude.
available and an ATST?
Yeah.
Yeah, an
Made no
AAT,
sense.
the little runners.
Made no sense.
So, two other things that I wanted to briefly touch on before we get to our spoiler-heavy Skeleton Crew discussion. Is less news and more of rumors, but have you heard the rumor that Rory McCann is going to be recast? They'll be recasting the role of Balin Skull with Rory McCann taking over for the late Ray Stevenson. Rory McCann played the Hound in Game of Thrones.
I did, yeah.
He's the Yark guy in Hot Fuzz.
I did hear this rumor.
What's your reaction to that?
I mean,
there's hesitation there. You don't think that's a great idea necessarily? I don't put words in your mouth. I think it's a good idea. I'm supportive of this casting. Knowing that Rory and Ray were actually close friends in real life makes it seem more right.
That is true.
As well. He's got the stature. He's got the look.
See, that's the thing. So
what you got reservations? Clearly, tell me what's on your mind, Bendu.
He does look the look. I see, man. Because it's he did the second Jumanji movie. He was the main villain in the Jumanji movie.
Rory McCann.
He was literally just like himself. He was literally just kind of a recap of the Hound, but more of it was still his Hound voice, but he was just more of I'm the strongest amongst the roughneck cutthroat people, and therefore I'm the king of the cutthroats.
Excuse me.
And then it wasn't anything particularly special. It's kind of the same way as how Jason Momoa is literally the same person in every role he does. And it's with Balin Skull,
I think there's a world of difference between the Hound and the Yarp guy from Hot Fuzz, personally.
Yeah.
I think Rory McCann has more range than that. I would give him more credit than that.
I don't know. I feel they would, even visually, he's very gruff. It would be like trying to put Ron Perlman in a role of a really handsome grizzled person. It's that doesn't work. Ron Perlman has a very specific facial structure, and the dude who plays the Hound has a very specific facial structure. It's
as a bearded person, I will say the beard changes the shape of your face quite a lot.
It's like when the dude from Stranger Things tried to be helpful, it just didn't work. And Balin Skull was he gave us such a specific performance, and the character itself was just such a Shakespearean, I don't want to say Macbeth, because Macbeth was an absolute tragedy of a story.
He felt like a gothic character to me.
Dying. But
Gothic Knight.
Balin, yeah, he was such a steadfast, but broody, but not broody. But I don't know, it's different. It's different. It's different. It's different.
Canon.
I get where it's extent of experience. Game of Thrones, Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being nervous when an actor gets cast for a role that you feel like is outside of what you've experienced him with, but that doesn't necessarily say anything about the chops of that actor or what they're going to bring to the table. I think about Heath Ledger being cast as the Joker, and how the initial reaction to that was people thought that was crazy. What are you talking about? Heath Ledger, this heartthrob guy? How's he going to be the Joker? And then he was freaking amazing.
Yeah, so, but that was also...
You never know. You never know.
He was doing a different interpretation. It wasn't like Heath Ledger was trying to play Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Well, honestly, and this is probably where our opinions will really split off, is that I would prefer that Rory McCann do his own interpretation of Balin Skull instead of just trying to do an impression of Ray Stevenson the whole time. Ray Stevenson made it his own. Let Rory McCann make it his own so we can actually get a compelling performance that's more than just an impression moving forward.
That's fair.
If you're going to recast it all the way and reshape the character, or leave him alone and have him use exposition to say that he died off screen or something. But if you're going to continue his story, let the actor take it all the way that he can without being constrained by the actor that came before him. That's what I think would be the best way to go.
So for example, the greatest greatest among greatest examples that we've seen within like the last calendar year of that was I have to look up both of their actors' names now, but our good Lord Father Adar, man, we had Uncle
Joseph
Benjamin.
Maul. Yeah, Joseph
Bro, we had
Maul.
Uncle Benjamin be like the greatest, coolest like introduction to this character that Amazon.
He was fantastic. He was absolutely
and then
fantastic.
we never got to see him. And then at Comic-Con, they tell us like, oh, by the way, this is gonna be our new Lord Father. And like, dude, he
Sam Hazeldine
so
fucking
hard in season.
killed it. He
Absolutely
crushed it, man.
nailed the character. But again, I don't know.
There's
if that
so much,
was
dude. There's so much precedent for successful recasts for a new actor coming in, taking a beloved character and elevating it further. So I'm really not worried. I'm really not worried.
So
Also, we're talking about professional actors here too. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's like the fact that they were good friends. Like I think that kind of at least gives me a little bit of comfort to knowing that like, dude cares about the role. The dude cares about his friend. He cares about the legacy of the thing. Like he's not going to drop it. He's not going to drop the ball, you know?
Right.
I
mean, as long as the writing is consistent and they write him to feel like Balin of season 1, then it's going to blend together. Totally. It's all going to come down to how well it's written.
Really. Yeah, right? Or like you said, they kind of give us a reason to completely resculpt the character. So, like, I wouldn't be completely surprised if, like, we get to see Balin Skull is, like, big stoic gothic knight like with his apprentice, right? Like he had Shin the entirety of season 1, right? So if in season 2, dude, what if we just see him rugged, ragged, just man of the hills, just like painting in feces and blood?
I expect his beard's going to be way longer next time we see him.
So like if they completely, like you said, redesign the character and give the actor the opportunity to play like, all right, cool, you got to see Knight. You got to see the stoic knight version of this character.
I get what you're saying. Setting up a juxtaposition for like
now get to see like the follower of the gods of Mortis.
Agreed.
You know, like now we get
absolutely.
So it's gonna be different. Like what if it's not even Balin Skull and it's like the spirit of the father that's in Skull's body, you know? Like brilliant. Gives us
what if he gets possessed and comes back as a vessel for Immortus? Go, whoo! Right? I'm gonna get myself excited thinking about this too much. We're almost to our Skeleton Crew discussion. One of the thing that was actually just mentioned here was the other thing I want to talk about. Dave Filoni's movie, Favreau's Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The rumor is Embo is going to be not only in the film, but I heard the primary antagonist of the film.
Who's Embo?
Really?
I don't remember Embo.
Dude, he's the bounty hunter from the Clone Wars who throws his hat around. He's got a sweet dog friend. Oh. He's a badass. One of Filoni's personal favorites.
Gotcha, the Liu Kang.
The Liu Kang guy, exactly. Gotcha. No, dude. It's gonna be intense.
It would definitely.
Oh yeah, the hat guy.
The hat guy, right? Like it's been so many years, dude. Like you can't hold that on me. There's been so many years. Like my brain right now is completely filled with inquisitorious stuff. Like
that's fair. That's fair. You've gone down a rabbit hole recently. I can forgive it.
Yeah, dude. Like the last thing that's fresh in my mind is like Birdman McGee Inquisitor and like Fart Master Merrick. And like the fact that when we got to see Ahsoka kill Birdman in Tales of the Jedi, he turned into a fart cloud. And then when we saw Ahsoka also kill Merrick, he also turned into a fart cloud. But like, yeah, dude.
Are they coming from a fart planet or is it Sith fart magic?
Right? Like, and then it brings me to the idea of like Fifth Brother. We get to see Fifth Brother. He's a real face.
He's not a fart. He's a shark.
The frog dude who's like following Maul. Real person. We get to see his face.
Yes.
So
it's a blend. It's a blend of Seventh Sister is real. We saw her. She's got a face.
But
Darth Maul cut her face off.
I was gonna say they took a good time not revealing her face immediately.
It could also be Dathomiri farts. This has not been ruled out.
Right.
All the farts are on the table, so you might not want to eat there right now. So this concludes our news section. Now let's move into the discussion of Skeleton Crew, which we just finished watching. And I will let you know, I will warn you one final time before we dive in here. We're going to be talking spoilers. We're going to be talking spoilers for the entire series. The entire season, yes, but I think it's safe to say the entire series. I don't
tonight's episode.
I don't know that it needs to be renewed for a second season, honestly. As much as I would enjoy more of this story, I think that the conclusion was satisfying, and I feel like they told the story they set out to tell. You know, they left some certain elements open-ended, but overall, I feel happy with how they ended it. I think they stuck the landing.
If anything, I would even go as far as saying not open-ended necessarily, but definitely well incorporated and introduced. Like you said, we may not get a season 2, but that doesn't rule out the fact that in any future media, if not immediately, we're going to go back to At-Atten, or it's going to
sure. Oh, we're going back there for sure.
Almost immediately. Like something that we were talking about after we watched the episode of like, oh man, how could they incorporate this planet? And I was like, dude, just wait. Like Thrawn's going to come back. He's going to be like, hey, Palpatine is dead. I'm going to stop by Dathomir real quick. We're going to get some super hopped up Dathomir smoke, some magic. And then we're going to go immediately to the ATM. We're going to immediately go to
Got to go make a withdrawal
exactly.
over at Atten. Yep. No, I think you nailed it. That's exactly what's going to happen. That's how At-Atten comes back into the fold, is with Thrawn, because he needs to finance his big uprising now. We didn't get. It was pretty light on the cameos, and honestly, I appreciated that. I didn't want to fall victim to my own expectations, and we didn't need Zeb to show up with the X-wings or like Carson Teva or anyone noticeable. Just the fact that they are X-wings was enough. And honestly, they shouldn't have been anyone we recognize, because we're seeing this from the perspective of these children who don't know anything about anything. So they should just be like faceless vehicles running around. Like that's pretty much how he experienced them, you know?
It's true. And then something else that I was thinking of before I like kind of forget, because this episode, I gave the parents a lot of shit. Yes, I see everyone in the comments being like, the B-Wings. I was like, oh no, we had reactions to the B-Wings for sure.
Yeah, we did. Oh yeah, we did.
Something that was interesting though, and something that I was thinking about afterwards though, because the way that they portrayed the parents really heavily in this episode was like the parents were so like I don't want to say they gaslit their kids the entire time, but they definitely never believed their children the entire time. And they just had like this absolute level of naivety with.
Yes, they were naive.
With threat assessment. And it really made me think of, do you think the show is from the kids' perspective? Or do you think we as the viewers are supposed to be watching it just like as a third person out of sight, out of mind sort of thing? And like just in itself, Wim's dad is just that much of a dumbass until like that last minute? Or do you think
it's very
seeing it from the kid's point of view?
Well, it's one of those interesting things that I've experienced where I'll watch a movie as a kid and I'll empathize with the kids and see it from their perspective, and then watch the same movie as an adult and now I'm the age of the parents and I empathize with the parents more in that same scene. So I think it's a reflection of you as the viewer. Who do you feel you identify with more in the scenario? You know, the parent or the child? And that depends on your own life, I think. But for me, I identified more with the parents to an extent, I think, because they're closer to my age and I could put myself in that situation. But like I did not think that the parents were like gaslighting their kids necessarily. I felt like they were very benign, like well-meaning people just sort of going about their lives and not really questioning the status quo or the routine. But I don't think they were ever trying to hide anything. I think that they were just trying to do what was best with the very limited information they had to operate on. You know,
that's fair.
Like, yeah, Wim's dad was still going on about the test. Like, you still got to do your school test. Like after the school's exploded. You know, after everything's said and done.
Yeah, after I make this quick hot pocket on the hot plate. Yeah.
Honestly, I liked Wendell so much in this episode. I loved the part where he got to ride really fast and do the jump on the speeder. It's clearly the most exciting thing he's like ever done in his life. And he was like, yes, afterwards.
Yeah, he did kind of like get to embrace his inner child a little bit, or at least like pay homage to his inner child, because I'm sure his parents, or either A, after him losing his wife, I'm sure he just completely was just workaholic, just one thought, one mind.
I mean, I'm sure he was that way before to an extent. I mean,
Right,
you are the way you're raised.
or like theory B is that like he's just a reflection of the parentage that he was put under. So like he probably didn't get to be a kid, therefore like him being able to do certain things now with the kids is like a bit
Like vicarious for him. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Wim's dad, his line about "I'm a level 7 like
I'm
data
a level
analyst,"
7,
or whatever.
yeah.
That was so funny. That
Like,
was
clear as a computer engineer.
That's
Yeah,
cool,
dude. Like that was pretty good. That was his little moment of like, oh man, he balled out at the end. I know, right? Like it did.
Dude, that punch, that was brave. That was brave. No, Wendell definitely like went out like a G in that episode. Definitely earned respect. All of the parents did. And one thing that I loved about the finale is that all of the kids had to do separate but very equally important tasks to
Yes.
day. Like Neil had to get the cannon working, which was phenomenal. KB had to fly the ship. Fern and Wim had to work together to try and get the barrier down. Like it was teamwork, but they were all separate doing their own missions, and they worked together so well. Yeah, I think the moment that I really felt like I wanted more of these characters together was when during the blackout when KB and Neil arrive at Wim's house, and they're like, "We've got the hover bikes, like let's come up with a plan. What do we do? Let's go." Like they're all ready for action. No one's scared anymore. They've got enough experiences that like
Yep.
they weren't panicking. So that was great. Great satisfying callbacks too. Like the way while they're being chased by the pirates, they took the little jump that they saw KB and Fern take in the first episode. No, that was great.
Just going.
Yeah, he got punched a lot, man.
Just going through some of the chat here. Also, thank you so much everyone who joins with us live,
Screen Cannon, yes,
who contributes and plays in our chat and gives us thing plenty of to.
Yeah, shout out to you guys.
But yeah, I mean, okay, like right. So the irony and just like the coincidentalness of like we got Jod's backstory. We finally got to know, is it a trick? Is it magnetic? Is it his gloves? Does he actually have the Force? So all y'all people who said, oh no, it's a trick, he doesn't have the Force.
Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened. It never happened. It's false. No way. Not this time. Not this time. No.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's me. He's saying that to me. I didn't trust him
the whole time. We saw.
Yeah, you said so. You said so.
Where's the Force?
You were correct. It's fact. It happened. You're right. You were right. It happened. A similar event took place.
A similar event took place.
I'll
give that to you. It's canon.
But
I didn't trust anything about Jod.
Bro.
There's nothing trustworthy about him,
But yeah, so as like my brain's going from like thought to thought, but yeah, the fact that so
get out of here.
He kind of got trained, and then lo and behold, the person that notices him and kind of gives him a little bit of training, the Inquisitors come in. Like we're just talking about the Inquisitors and painting the Inquisitors, and lo and behold, it was the Inquisitors that killed Jod.
So what you're saying is this is your fault.
Yeah,
you manifested this.
Yeah.
If you had been painting the damn Inquisitors,
if it wasn't the Spanish Inquisition, dude, like if you joined Hondo, okay, there was like that split second where it's like, oh man, could Hondo show up and be like, nah, man, I'm the pirate lord here. How dare you other pirates be in my jurisdiction? Like, that could have happened, but it didn't, and I'm cool that it didn't.
I'm cool with not getting any cameos or references. It only makes the galaxy bigger,
Exactly.
Like, Hondo can't be the only pirate out there. We need more pirates than just he needs to be among other known pirates. Then the galaxy feels like it's actually large.
And we still did get cameos. We got a bunch of B1s. We got the banking clan. We got to see the banking clan taking mud baths on
I didn't realize I needed to see that, but I'm very glad I did.
Right? And then speaking of which, can you imagine how much of a hard-on the banking clan must have now that they know that Atten just appeared out of nowhere and they're like, yo, we like money. They're
going to be like, you owe us interest on this whole planet somehow.
Yeah.
Like we'll drop the paperwork later.
No one told us that all this money exists, and that's false.
Don't you worry. Vane will return. I'm sure Vane's going to be in The Mandalorian and Grogu somehow.
Okay. So
Vane is
Katara
key to
and
all
I,
of them,
Katara and
apparently.
I were talking about that because, like, so if we're gonna go full on in, so yeah, so we got to see Neil shoot down the pirate frigate with the giant rooftop laser cannon that was hidden on top of the school building, and
Great
then
place for a cannon, a school.
right, and
Like
then so
you're drawing fire to the school building by putting it there.
So they blow up the main frigate, but we still have a bunch of like all the pirates that were on the little like skiffs and like land speeders that were just like with the turrets shooting at the X-wings as they were going away. And like Vane was on one of those ground ships. So we were talking. So Katarna and I were saying he's probably just arrested now.
He's definitely trapped. It was open air. They can't get into space. There's nothing to
Yeah.
breathe. And the ship got destroyed, so they're grounded effectively. I'm sure they got rounded up. We're going to see him breaking bricks at the New Republic prison, you know, alongside Billy Balls and all the other guys. Yeah, shout out to Jaleel White. He made a great pirate. He was the only pirate with some stones at the end there, too. He was like, stay and fight, as everyone's like,
Now he's like,
leaning
stay in your
the bridge.
stations! Stay in your stations! Yeah. No, he followed through.
He very well may not be dead. We don't know. We did see him get out of the chair, but it didn't look like he was trying to leave. He was trying to go down with that ship, I think.
Yeah, went down for the ship.
I mean, most pirates are. All the pirates have delusions of grandeur and think that they have what it takes to be the captain. But the reality is they're all scared and they all just like fall in line behind the dominant pirate. And is like, whoever says they're the captain, he's a follower. They're all followers.
Dude, okay, but speaking about the frigate and like coming down though, like the imagery, the close encounters of the third kind sign imagery that they were giving us with like all
when the ship like came down over
sending straight down. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, just to assert dominance, we need to blow up some cars.
What the hell, guys? Like, you have our attention. You don't have to blow up the public bus.
Yeah.
Do you think anyone died in that?
I mean, they killed some droids. They killed a lot of droids.
Well, they definitely killed some droids.
You, best friend, calling it out with the supervisor being an absolute automated voice. An absolute
like Hal, like a straight up Hal.
Like just a giant R2-D2 head. Hilarious. And the fact that when John stabbed it in the eyeball, a bunch of like finger like R2-D2 claws came out. Like, are you kidding me?
It's like, wait, you had arms? You weren't using them before, though.
Right? Like, do you use the arms to like build yourself back? Like, why does the giant R2-D2 head have like assistant arms? Is it just like if one of the humans is getting out of line and just like hits it in the back of the head? I wonder. But like, yeah, there's so many questions. But I love how immediately it was like, oh yeah, per our last email, we heard that the Jedi were traitors. So like, should we kill you?
Yeah, that was cool.
Should we kill you because you're lying to us, or should we kill you because you're a Jedi?
It's really chilling when you think about it. The last message we got from the Republic, it's like, what you don't know is that was the Republic's final message to anyone. Because the Republic just disappeared after that, became the Empire. Yeah. For a split second, I thought that like Jod was going to get Order 66 by the robots.
Dude, I think he was. Like, if it wasn't for
they were firing stuns. They
went
stun like straight away. They didn't try to eliminate him. They just were going to apprehend him and probably hand him off to people who would then kill him was kind of the plan, I'm sure.
Yeah, but we don't know if those blasters had.
Yeah, they kind of skipped right over that. Wim didn't really get a chance to process hearing that the Jedi are all traitors. Or later when Jod's like, the Jedi are all dead. Like, Wim didn't really know that yet either. So, like I said, they left some things open that like we could get that in a later story. I want to talk about Jod for a second and his end. He surrendered pretty quick once the barrier went down. He dropped the blaster. And then just kind of like stayed up in the tower and they left him there. I mean, that's fair. The parents are desperate to get the kids to safety. I get it. But like they let him out of their sight. He's totally going to escape. And that final shot of his face, he didn't really look defeated. He looked more like he had a fresh start. You know, it was like back to square one. And that little smirk, you know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what we were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could easily just wait it out in the forest until there was more open transportation coming to and fro from the planet and just like try to disguise himself and leave. But I saw someone asking like, why didn't he just kill the people there? And it's like, because if you were to kill everybody up in the tower with him and then try to escape, it would have been way more obvious. And then he would have had way more of like, oh, he's now a known murderer. He was last seen here. He was last seen impersonating an
Now
emissary.
he's got problems on the
Oh,
ground
he
as
just
well,
killed-
right?
He just killed 2 to 3 families and then
Right.
left. But like, because of the fact that I thought the ship was going to crash into the tower at first. I thought like it was going to be a thing where he was just going to explode and like burn and die, and that was the thing. But it wasn't. It was just the ship just like was crashing and like completely went past the building, and they crashed into the lagoon like moat.
How
thing.
very convenient that the
So-
canal was exactly the
Yeah.
same height as the ship.
Yeah, I mean, like it
Perfectly fit
definitely
in there,
destroyed-
minimize the
I mean,
damage.
the bottom of the ship definitely destroyed the amphitheater, so like, you know, the kids can't take their tests now. And like,
Is that
half-
credit that you can give to Gunther that he steered the ship towards a body of water to minimize
I don't
casualties?
know. I don't know.
Did we
I don't
just
know
get
if he did
lucky
on
with
purpose.
that?
I don't know if he did that
Because I
on
mean,
purpose
if you
or,
think
like,
about it from his perspective,
direction.
he's going down with the ship, but he does want to survive if it's possible. Wouldn't you rather crash into water than
Yeah.
like a Duracrete building?
Absolutely.
Like it's possible that like the view screen breaks, he swims out to safety. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
he's probably dead. He definitely was on the ship when it crashed. I'm just saying,
Or-
it's possibly could have survived the crash if he went right into the
Um,
water, protected from the explosion. You know.
But yeah, I feel like Jod immediately is the type to weigh options, sort of see what is, you know, pro and con of each of those options, and then just sort of goes with what is not the easiest at the time, but at least like leave no trace, right? Like he
Right.
doesn't want to be seen as a murderer. He doesn't want like that kind of notoriety, because he doesn't want cops immediately looking for him, especially if he's stuck on Atten and he can't
Right.
leave because he has no ship, he has no plane. Because Atten people, they don't have any planes or like means of transportation, because they've been blocked off their whole entire generations of lives and families. So he's definitely playing the long game, I think, and just waiting of like, all right, I'm just gonna be silent, I'm gonna be quiet, I'm gonna be invisible, and then I'm gonna go.
Yeah, exactly. He was trying to play it just like quiet and just like get in, get the credits, get out. Yeah, that's very true. It was very similar to Long John Silver at the end of Treasure Island. Which again, I believe, like, you know, he was then featured in other literary works too. It wasn't the end of his story either, you know. It was the end of the main arc of this character, but then he gets featured, and I think Jod's gonna pop up somewhere. I think he's gonna pop up somewhere again.
Mhm.
I saw someone asking about SM33. I wasn't really surprised. I was happy and relieved, but I did kind of expect that, like, you can't cut a droid's head off and then call him dead. I mean, how many disembodied head droids have we seen in Star Wars? 3PO included, you know. I just played that level in Star Wars Outlaws where you find the crate dragon and you get directions from a protocol droid's head that's just like in a crate by the Jawas.
That's amazing.
Talking heads, just casually, you know. It's just a
That's
thing.
so cool.
It will be. It will absolutely happen. I think so. Yeah. One thing that I thought was really brilliant and really well done in terms of like the writing, planting the seeds early on, is how Fern was able to convince her mom that everywhere they went, they were good people.
Yes.
Even in the worst,
fact that
places,
was
at
something
least
to
one
those
person
people-
stepped up,
Mhm.
like inquired if the kids are okay, helped them out in some way. The dancer chick from Port Borga, Cathalops, was great too. Like Cathalops is the homie. He really helped them out.
He was such an MVP.
Kim,
Yeah.
Kim came in clutch in this episode. Like it just goes to show that like even in an experience as dark as theirs potentially was, like the hope is still there. Like Jod said, those pinpricks of light, they're out there. I don't know. I don't know what my read is on Jod, honestly. I feel like he is a tragic character, especially from his circumstances, if his story was in fact true, you know. He's told us a lot of stories so far. Although I think that I feel like there's half truths contained in everything that he's said. He's never like straight up lied.
It's true.
He relies
He's
heavily on other people to make assumptions, and then he takes advantage of that, you know? Like he never told Wimmy was a Jedi. He just didn't outright deny it necessarily, and he let him believe it.
And I think that's kind of great though, because that as a character arc, or not, well, yeah, character arc, but like as an archetype in general, is still very Shakespearean and still very like Roman play. It's kind of the way that Maul, he was the villain, very end. He
Yeah.
he was just all revenge. That was his purpose. He didn't give a shit. He was just like, I'm gonna see all these circles, and I'm gonna push so many squares in them.
I mean, when it comes to Maul, the whole point of his story is that he ran the full gambit of anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering.
Yep. And then with Jod, similar thing. Like he's just had to struggle and suffer and like work for everything his entire life. He's been hungry his entire life.
We're all hungry.
Yeah. So
I feel like the first true story he told was when he told the kids, like, I'm alone just like you. I've always been alone. That was true. I feel like there was truth to that too. He feels isolated. And if he really did see his master murdered in front of him, like, and mess anybody up. Does the timeline?
It was just didn't even get that far.
I'm wondering if his master could even be like anyone we've heard of before.
Dude, I was waiting so hard for him to say like Barris or like
Barris.
Dude, because again, I was watching Tales of the Empire, and
yeah, that's right.
There was a moment that she went AWOL after being
and became the healer, right?
By Lynn, and then she became the old lady healer lady up in the mountains, and then like helping sick kids and like turning force sensitive children towards Ahsoka or towards places where they're not going to get hunted by the Empire, and then lo and behold, she gets killed by third sister, whatever the hell Lynn's number ends up being. But like, I don't know, the stories, they were so close, but that was just my brain again trying to force the square.
I mean, I get it though. I do the same thing. I do the same thing when I'm watching, and I've just finished watching something else. I try to like relate them in a way that they're not supposed to make sense.
See, okay, Giovanni.
Nina Nanawood, Google shows her as being cast. Well, I don't remember her being in the episode. So she must have been cut from the story in that case, which means that that's not canon and anyone could have put that there. So I don't know that that's true necessarily.
Giovanni, I see you.
She could have been cast. She could have fully been cast, put in a costume and everything. But unless she made the cut into the final episode, it's not canon.
I see you. It was not Quinlan Voss. Well, okay. So two things. One,
true.
We're pretty sure Quinlan Voss, as far as we're aware, was not killed by.
Quinlan Voss is alive. His name is written on the path in Kenobi.
Yeah, he's running it. He's doing the Harriet Tubman thing right now.
Yeah, he's fully got an underground railroad of Jedi going on, and I'm sure he's high up in that organization for sure.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he dies of old age, as far as Dark Horse Comics is concerned, and has told us. And Marvel Comics is yet to write an end to the Quinlan Voss that we all know and love. So his story is very much open-ended, and it would be great to see him at some point in time. Obviously, I say that all the time, but yeah, I don't think
that could
be his master though.
Would the timeline work for that too? I did see Droid Herder's comment that Reva could have been the master. I hope that's not the case because I like Reva and I don't want her to get killed in exposition. Who is she? Aura Singh? Like, come on. If you're going to kill Reva, don't be a coward and kill her on screen.
That's fair.
Give her a proper story. She's a good character. She deserves a proper send-off. I don't want to hear about it in some line of dialogue of, oh, yeah, she died.
Timeline-wise,
I don't accept that. If that's Reva,
timeline-wise, though, that would make sense. That would make sense, though. Like Reva getting stabbed in the kidney and like almost killing little Luke and Ahsoka.
I mean, she fully would have been like lost and pretty ragged, as he said, in that time period. But I feel like Jod's a little too old to have been that age during Kenobi, post Kenobi,
But it wasn't. It was all after, right? Because Kenobi takes place versus, I'm trying to remember now.
I mean, there's Inquisitors running around. It's Luke is like no,
9
years old.
Sorry. Because Mando takes place after Return of the Jedi. Therefore, if Reva was alive the entirety of before New Hope up until like potentially where Jod would be a pirate now, like theoretically that could all have happened within the canon.
It hasn't been
God's
long enough.
pirate.
It hasn't been. He said he was 10 years old when he met Reva.
Or could have met Reva, yeah. But we also don't know how long he's been a pirate for.
Reva stopped being a Sith during Kenobi, which was 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So 9 years after that is A New Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mandalorian is about another 9 years after that.
Yeah.
So we'll say that 18 years. You're telling me that Jod is 28 years old.
Why not?
Jude Law, I'm sorry. He's a handsome man. He could not pass
saying
28
Jude Law.
in any galaxy.
Not
In
saying
any
Jude
galaxy.
Law. We're saying the character.
Okay, well, John, come on. That's some weird rules lawyering. It doesn't. The ages don't work. He's too old. He's like a good 20 years too old, in my opinion. Yeah, that's a hard 28. Whereas he's been on a planet with 5 suns for like his. I
Dude,
guess
the pirates doing death sticks. We don't know. Trying to
no offense to Jude Law. No offense intended. He cannot play a 28-year-old. That's too far out of it for me. He's too young. Let me look up his age. How old is he right now? He's 52. He's 52 years old. He looks great for 52.
And I'm just saying, how often though in TV and media, we have actors portraying characters that are like 20 years younger than their actual ages all the time. Just saying. We have plenty of like kids who are 18 who are playing middle schoolers.
Luke is Luke really in his 50s by The Mandalorian?
The Joy point out the Joy.
I feel like he's younger than that. I feel like he's not quite that old yet.
His story about post 66 to make sense. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, my gut reaction is that the timelines don't match up, but I'm gonna have to look at the numbers and really think about that because I could have sworn that Luke was younger than that, but I guess that makes sense.
It's always possible.
He would be about Kanan's age at this point, I think. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. 50s is, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Luke was 28 years old in The Mandalorian. Luke was 28, 29, 37. We're getting so many numbers here.
That's like, you don't know. Nobody knows. It's a galaxy far, far away. How old is Aragorn?
The most difficult part is to not go too far, just go strange enough.
Yeah.
That's the biggest trap people fall into in these kinds of movies is they go too far. I may have gone too far in a few places.
Everyone is every age.
Case in point.
Age works differently in Star Wars.
Case in point. Everyone's an alien. Nobody knows. We don't know what blue milk does to people's aging process. We don't know what kind of soup bread does to people. We don't know.
That was the wrong clip, by the way. This is the clip that I was looking for.
But it is a very hard movie to follow, and at the same time, I've done it a little more extremely than I've ever done in the past. It's stylistically designed to be that way, and you can't undo that, but we can diminish the effects of it.
Exactly. Case in point. God. The man himself proved it. It's where we are. It's how it is.
Okay, yeah, 28. That's what I thought. Luke is 28 years old in The Mandalorian. So if Jod is the same age as Luke, then he'd be, yeah, he's like, I'm thinking he's at least 20 years older than Luke. But again, if he's 10 years old, then why was the Jedi being hunted? Because that puts him decades before Order 66.
I mean, how long have the Inquisitors been around?
Not since before Order 66.
I know, not before 66. So he said that his master was killed during, like, whilst the Inquisitors had to have been around.
Right, but he never said Inquisitors. He just said his master was hunted. And when she was hunted down, they killed her in front of him.
Who do you think that was?
I mean, they didn't say. They said they. I think it was they. I think it was them. It was an undefined group of people that likely are Inquisitors, but are not explicitly Inquisitors. which just makes it more confusing because the timeline does not suggest that it would be Inquisitors because the Inquisitorius has not been set up at that time. If Jod is the age of Jude Law, then when he was 10 years old, the Republic was still swinging. That's what I'm saying. He's too old to have been 10 during the time of the Empire. So I have questions.
Killed by the man. Yeah, see?
Yeah, he was hunted down by fucking Darth Malgus, okay? He's actually like 4,000 years old. Okay, in his 40s is fine. That still puts him a little over the age that he told Wim that he was. But again, he could have embellished. He could have embellished and he was actually like 15 when he met the Jedi. Totally possible. I could buy that. I think. But not being a 10-year-old at the time of Order 66. He's way too old for that at this point, I think.
He was a broken Jedi found by him now. But he wasn't even trained that much. He said that they didn't
he had a little training. He deflected those stuns like a G.
Yeah.
He has the basics of push and pull. Like if he was playing Jedi Outcast, he's got like Force level 2. He's not quite Force level 3, but he's up there. He's better than Rosh. Yeah. Again, I feel like if he was found by his master, Order 66, he'd have to be older than 10. Yes, and this is also not far from my mind as well. It's like, can we really trust what he said? I do agree with the comment earlier that said that it felt like a really honest thing that he was saying, like finally some truth. Like I agree with that, but I don't know. It's a character like Jod is an unreliable narrator on purpose. That's by design. So we'll never really know. Jod said his master taught just a bit before getting killed. Right. He didn't say killed by Inquisitors or killed in Order 66. So technically, this could be a Jedi who was killed before the fall and just happened to be doing street stuff. I don't know.
Then how would he also know that all the Jedi are dead?
Because he's a person who lived through history. I mean, he's definitely old enough to have been alive during Order 66. I just don't think that his age was 10 or that like he also never used the word master either. Yes, he just like met a person who taught him some tricks and then they died. It was all quite casual, I'm sure, quite like under the table. Especially if it was post Order 66, because there's no way she's going to be like, I dub thee my Padawan, like loud enough for the neighborhood to hear. Like that's super clandestine behavior at this point. So
Jedi.
It's hard to say. Oh Jesus. Oh no, you're right. Moving on. I think that my overall favorite, just like Star Wars fan nerd moment from this episode was the B-Wings showing up. Seeing those X-Wings coming in formation, like they gave it to us in such a cool reveal too. Like the X-Wings are in full view, and you're like, okay, cool, those are the reinforcements. And then the B-Wings come in behind them, and you're like, oh hell yeah, let's go.
Yes.
And then when the when they finally use like the all points forward, like the full
charge laser
into the ship, beautiful.
Shout out to Rebels.
Yeah, shout out to Quarry, his little blade wing. That was fantastic. That was easily my favorite little like nerd freak out moment of the episode. And I think that my favorite like little side character, it's got to be Brutus. Such a robust design for a pirate. Shistavainen, such a good Legends deep cut for the species, but then just like the outfit, the way he had an old fashioned like a fucking like a blunderbuss, like a flintlock pistol like on his. Too good. The way he had the articulated mouth and like the fangs and like the prosthetic mask was so convincing and expressive.
The glowing red eyes.
Easy favorite for me. And then after that would be Cathalops, just because he's the chillest snail frog monster dude we've ever met in Star Wars. He's so cool. I would hang out with Cathalops and tell him. He seems like a really good listener. You know what I mean?
Dude, the barrier disappearing sequence, peak. That was
beautiful.
That was like, even though it was quote unquote man-made, like that was by far like even more. Well, I guess technically when we got to see the moving eye, or like when we got to see the thing in Andor, was that from ships or were those meteorites? I don't remember if that was like a natural.
That was the eye of Aldani, and it was a naturally occurring phenomenon. And
Natural
I was about to
occurring.
bring that up. I was about to say that this is like visually kind of the opposite of Aldani, you
Yeah.
know, because Aldani, the sky's normal, and then the eye happens and it like slowly clouds the atmosphere, and this like it's slowly revealing the stars. It was such a cool sequence.
With the swooshing,
Visually,
the way
just-
that they were able
Yeah.
to like completely, like, I don't know. It's almost like when you're watching soap suds go down a drain, or like when you see a cyclone move clouds around, and it
totally
just,
the swirl.
it really brings everything in, but it all has this
Very
still
similar move, like
centric-
motion to
yeah.
it. Totally.
centric. What fuck? I can't.
So Wim definitely has his sights set on the New Republic flight. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah, he does. Do you see his eyes looking at those X-Wings? He was like, okay, new mission unlocked. Forget the Jedi. I want to be an X-Wing when I grow up. Like, that's his new...
I want to be an X-wing. I don't want to just be a pilot. I want to be
I want to be the X-Wing
I
when I
want
grow
to
up.
be
That's
flyer.
his-
I want to be flying.
That's so realistic, though, that the kid's like, oh, cool thing. New personality unlocked.
Oh, absolutely. New
My personality is now X-Wings. Like, I can relate to that. I can relate to that in a big way. That would be so good if he's in the Rogue Squadron, if they do like a Rogue Squadron movie or a project, and then he could be classmates with Kazuda Xiono from Resistance.
Absolutely.
That could be pretty fun. Yeah, no, I would be into that too. Get Oscar Isaac to cameo as Poe Dameron, showing up to like give the recruit
Infinite
class every
possibilities.
once in a while.
I see you. I'll do you one better. Can you imagine if
So
we
good.
have like essentially a young Avengers squad of like Wim, Omega, and like Hera's kid, of whom I can't think of right now.
Jason,
Fuck yeah, dude! Like that would like let's just
add,
get
throw in Ben Solo, throw in teenage Ben Solo as like the surly older kid of the group.
Oh yeah, because he hasn't joined.
No, dude, he'd be like 14. He'd be
Academy
perfect.
yet.
He'd be perfect. Make him hella like pimply and his voice breaking, like make him like super awkward. That'd be so good.
All the time. Yeah.
I want like awkward puberty Kylo Ren story. That would be so funny.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, that would be great.
Like Zuko. You'd be like, oh my god, this is so annoying.
How
Yeah, no,
how
he'd be like,
dare you?
He like
I can't believe you've done this.
Napoleon Dynamite. In my head cannon.
I take it back. I retract the theory. The theory's gone.
Nah,
No, there's plenty of New Republic pilots that defected to the Resistance alongside Leia, and I'm sure Wim would be one of them if he did go that route. Yeah, Grogu can be their chaperone because my man's 50 years old. He's definitely not one of the kids anymore. Ironically,
he's a kid in size and in his heart. He doesn't even have words yet. He's still, bro. Grogu doesn't even know the alphabet yet. Can we talk about that? Like, he knows so little and yet so much all at the same time.
I've questions about that. Like maybe on a level of education, but like he seems to be. We didn't hear what he said, but he was communicating with Ahsoka pretty like efficiently. I feel
Pretty
like
hard.
he was using like multiple syllable words and long sentences and stuff, but doing it all mentally. You know.
Speaking of cute puppets, I think one of my absolute favorite shots, now that my brain is now buffering the episode more, when we get to see Neil's mom running across the field
Oh,
with like the spotlights coming down, and she's holding
the
the
little babies.
animatronic puppet, dude, and it's just sitting there in her
Being-
arms, literally just
being
like,
scared.
"Let's go, mama." Like, hilarious, adorable. That needs to be a plushie at Galaxy's Edge, like, immediately. Like, that needs to be the new Cabbage Patch Baby of like just a bunch of
Because they made those Star Wars baby dolls. There was like a Rhodian one and like a Wookiee
right.
one.
That's right.
So they just need to add a second
right.
wave and give us a baby Neil. You
That's
know?
right. That's brilliant. They already have it. They already
Yeah.
have it. They just need to be-
They've already got that teed up. Just print
Yes.
your own money, Ad Atten style. Speaking of which, like, yeah, this is a good question. Do all these credits enter the current economy? Because, like I've said this before, we don't really have any direct knowledge of what the economy is like at this time period, but we have a lot of things that indicate that it sucks. There's a little context clues we've gotten that the economy is absolutely fucked in a post-war galaxy, and like Mando, like turning in like 3 bounties and still not having enough money after the payout to like buy fuel for his ship.
This is wild. But if
Like,
they were just like small or like small easy bounties, but still either way, right? Either way,
routinely spending thousands of credits and only getting half a tank. Like
gas.
that's messed
Yeah.
up, man. And I mean, in Star Wars: The Old Republic, like the economy is famously broken. If I wanted to buy like a stim pack, it's like 4,000 credits, easy. It's like 200 credits just to fast travel. But it's like if all these credits get flooded into the economy from AT-ATN, like that would be. I mean, that's kind of why I knew Jod wasn't going to get away with it. Because if Jod managed to get that kind of wealth, he would be too wealthy to never have been heard of, you know?
I feel like it would
By
probably
the time of the sequels, everyone would know that about the legendary rich guy Jod with his like empire of planets that he's bought, you know, like because that's the kind of wealth that was there. He would have it's enough money to make you everybody's problem. You know what I mean? He could have turned himself into the Elon Musk of the fucking galaxy. Like he's just rich enough that you got to deal with his bullshit. That's kind of that's how much money there was there. And so like it doesn't really make sense that we wouldn't have heard of him if he was going to succeed. So because Jod was this unknown, that was kind of one of the meta reasons why I was like, I don't think the heist is going to pull off. Unless it's like a DB Cooper situation and he just like was secretly out there with all this money. But even then, it would leave a trail. Someone would track him down and then heist it from him. Yeah, Jod just buys the holonet. Exactly. And then just has like vanity programming 24/7. Buys the holonet, fully ruins it.
I figured they probably had to do like they had to maybe stamp it a certain way, or like maybe the credits themselves needed some sort of like activation code. Like, yeah, they made like the hard, like hard form little like dollar thingies. But like at the same time, like, I don't know, like it's so much currency. There was so much just like raw currency. So very much unactivated.
The Jodonet.
Well,
it's raw currency, but it's vintage raw currency because the Old Republic credits are like they're like extra rare. Every one of those credits is more than one Dactari each. So like with the inflation and the value of those, like each pallet of money is like exponentially more than what you're looking at. Each one of those 1 credit chips is actually worth like 5 credits each just because they're rarer now. Well, I guess they're about to be a whole lot less rare.
Well, see, here's the issue. Like, because
here's a couple trillion. Now they're not worth anything.
Because like my brain's thinking about it, and it's like, one, he wouldn't care about like a money laundering sort of a thing because he's a pirate. Like at the end of the day, he's a pirate. He doesn't care about taxes. He doesn't care about internal revenue services. He doesn't care about the Republic or anything like that. But him being like notoriously known to have a treasure mint planet, like that's such a huge target on him.
Yeah, I don't know how he'd be able to control that.
He wouldn't,
especially now that the barrier's gone. You know,
like every bounty would be on him because it's like, oh, cool. All we have to do is kill this one dude, and we have access to the mint. Done, like easy peasy. But it's like at the same time, he could be like, all right, I'm going to use all my currency to like buy the best bodyguards that I can get. But
right.
It's like, those bodyguards at the same time could be like, or we could just kill you and like take the money for the mint. So it's like at the end of the day, I think it boils down to him having like he would have to get droids. He would need droid bodyguards. Like that's
is essentially what the original setup was, and we saw how well that was. They were able to bypass that. So as for this, I generally believe the Imperial sleeper agents in the New Republic funneled that money into what will become the First Order 100%. As soon as Katie O'Brien found out about AT-ATN in like the New Republic like incident report after this pirate incursion, I'm sure she made a note of it, and eventually this money found its way to the Imperial remnant. 1,000%. I think you're totally right.
It happened. You were correct. It's fact. It happened.
It's fact. Yeah, man, Skeleton Crew was fun. I really enjoyed it. I think my favorite episode is probably the second one, the Port Borgo episode, where they have their escapades throughout. We get all those little droid cameos.
Yeah.
It's got a great action sequence. So many cool like little background things to look at. Yeah, I think episode 2 might be my favorite overall. I mean, I'm not trying to figure out what the showmaker's intentions were here. I'm doing a thought exercise of the actual in-universe implications of that much vintage currency. Like, I'm not trying to ascertain what they were trying to tell me. This is just taking it and running with it because that's how we nerds have fun, you know.
Right. Same within Andor. Like when we stole the
Yeah,
quadrants.
the Aldani heist.
Like, dude, when we stole half a quadrant's paychecks.
And
for,
that
like,
was a
the entire
galaxy-changing
month.
amount of money, and it was a handful of pallets. Like that
then dude got
pales in
killed.
comparison to Ad-Atten.
And dude
It's
got crushed.
crazy.
And dude got squished.
It is. At the end of the day, it's pirates and gold coins. It's all quite silly. It's quite silly. Yeah, which episode was your favorite overall?
Yeah, it's hard to say. There was too many little moments from each episode. Like, yeah, I don't have between the 8 of them. I can't say I have like a definite individual.
And I think that's fine. I don't think you need to have a favorite. I think that you can regard this show as like one continuous experience.
Yeah, and like coming from the Acolyte and then coming to this, like they felt completely different. Like with the Acolyte, I could tell you 100% which episode was my favorite episode. But like with this one, it was just the key focus was: are these kids going to get home? Are the families going to learn anything? Like, how is this going to affect the wider universe?
Right.
And all of those things kind of got answered and touched on a little bit. And like, it was just collectively fun knowing that, like, all right, cool, none of these kids are going to be in danger. I mean, yes, these kids are going to be in danger, but this isn't that kind of show.
You're like, yes, these kids will be in danger. Very good.
Yeah, but it's not like other Star Wars, like, you know, like, I don't know, the threat assessment, you know.
I hear what you're saying. I get what you're trying to say. I completely agree with that.
The weight was different, so it's just like you were able to just relax and have more fun.
Same.
with
this. Just have a good time with it.
Dead. Dude, you all okay? Like, yeah, Bum Brutus is dead. But like, I find it amazing that you guys aren't specifically talking about the fact that he was held down by a fucking little grippy grip.
He died terribly. He died.
And then
the pun. He died like a dog.
Like, he got the most Breaking Bad, just like gangster death that I think we've seen since Moff Gideon shooting up an entire bar, killing his own employees. Which again,
R.I.P. Werner Herzog.
Bad and like very, you know,
he just wanted to see the baby, man. That's all he wanted.
Huevos Hermanos, the Chicken Brothers. I don't remember what the fuck.
Pollos Hermanos.
Yes.
You're saying Egg Brothers.
You said the Egg Brothers.
Yeah, it's okay.
The Egg Brothers.
Yeah, because the 2 bald twins. But yeah, like the fact that he got clawed.
I want you to recap more TV shows that you haven't seen. I think that would be a good podcast just on its own.
Absolutely.
The show according to Bendu.
The manner of execution for our boy Brutus. Like
he did him so dirty. And I love that brief moment of awareness where like their eyes met and Brutus knew like
it's like
this is the opening. He's gonna take it. Like, and I'm pretty much fucked. Guess I'll die. Like,
yeah, it's like he didn't get any fight
done about it.
There was no fight. There was no glory. There was no, you know, giant shootout. Nothing. He just got
bam.
He's like, done. and then on top of it, John's like, he was stinky. He was a mutineer.
He had bad hygiene. And I'm hungry.
Not a good guy. And just like everyone was like,
it's not enough that you just murdered this man. You got to publicly besmirch him like straight away.
Yeah.
Poor Brutus. But honestly, Brutus, that I don't know how he would have wanted to go out. That was a very piratey way to die.
He lived as he died. Yeah.
Yeah.
He died
by the sword, man.
By a blast to the face.
Yep. Long John Silvo. Boom.
Silvo
just shot him in the face.
This guy here ran with scissors. I mean,
he ran with scissors. He left the seat up. He left the water running. The supervisor being a gigantic astromech head also rocked. Absolutely. And I love the 2001 Space Odyssey vibes with like the big HAL red light. And then also very like Wizard of Oz, you know, with like the man behind the curtain, or I guess the droid behind the curtain in this instance.
But you know what? At the end of the day, that droid also knew every one of his employees and like knew everyone that lives on the planet. He was like, "Oh, you're such a sweet little girl. You must be the daughter of so and so."
That's impressive if you're a human. If you're a computer, you better know all your employees.
Right? Like the most socialist of robots. He like, "I appreciate all my employees. We have pizza Wednesdays every other Wednesday."
Now, see, that's the opposite of socialist, man. That's as capitalist as it gets. You're like, I appreciate you all so much, and instead of doing anything to improve your quality of life, I'm going to pay for some cheese pizzas,
But that's
serve
not
them to
true.
your room temperature on a Wednesday, and then make you go back to work.
But that's not true.
That's the most capitalist corporate bullshit.
Dude, but that's
That's
not true.
opposite of
He kept
socialism.
the giant acid dome. He kept the giant acid cloud to keep them safe. He kept the acid cloud and the lightning turrets.
Right, but the instant that the kids were actually in danger,
He was just
what
like,
did he do?
nothing.
He was like,
He
fuck
got-
them kids. Fuck them kids. They went past the
just-
barrier. That's not keeping people safe, Bendu. It's not keeping them safe.
You know what? He took a lightsaber to the face. What was
I,
he
for
doing?
one, will not be voting for the supervisor. Yeah, he got murdered. He got straight murdered. And that was a cool death scene, too. Like stabbing him Qui-Gon style in the eye. And then he had like these robot arms start coming out. Like he's all flailing. It was pretty dark.
RM,
Dark
I
if you
see
think about
you. I hope to God, because Emerald City Comic Con is 2 months away now because it's January. We got February and March. I
want to see at least one.
I want to see it so bad. Anyone who has a probe droid, a probe droid cosplay,
Wear the
I
head.
feel like you could
Wear the
easily.
head.
You already got it. I feel like you just need to flip it upside down.
I mean, honestly, dude, just one of those big round like black garbage cans. Just wear that and then put a big red eye on it. Boom. I have one of those. Like, that could be the supervisor. I could do it myself.
Yes.
I agree. I thought that it was a little weird that she wasn't being immediately like medically tended to. That her parents were just standing there watching the ship crash, being like, "You can do it, sweetie." This should have been like, "Holy shit, go get the defibrillator. We'll meet you at the field." Like that's what they should have been doing.
I mean,
but they were just kind of like, I believe in her. Like, no, fucking triage kit, go, child falling out of sky. Like,
in her defense, she wasn't doing anything that was necessarily labor intensive. She was flying the ship. She was dismantling a bomb.
She was crashing the ship.
She was doing a lot of engineering stuff, but she wasn't needing to like climb a mountain or do anything.
I mean, that's fair, but we have the benefit of the audience of having seen inside the ship in those moments.
That's true.
If you are KB parents, you're standing on the ground and you're watching the ship just like burst into flames,
orbit,
falling out of the sky. So like they don't know what she's up to. Like they should be panicking and getting ready to meet her with medical assistance at the ground, and instead they just sort of were like, "Hope for the best. You can do it, honey." Like
it's true.
Absolutely. And I get it. It's too many story beats. It's too many moving parts in what's already a big, busy finale third act. But like, I would have liked to see them be a bit more frantic about that, especially how they were with the previous episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, we got some numbers. We got some numbers coming in. Order 66 took place in 19 BBY. Skelly Crew takes place in 9 ABY, which makes Jod around 39 or 40 years old. Well, okay, is that calculation based on him saying he was 10 during Order 66, or do we don't have a birth date for him or anything, right? So if he was 39 to 40, he would be about 9 or 10 in 19 okay. I guess it works. I don't know if I cannot buy him being 28, but I will buy him being 40. I could see Jod being 40. That's believable to me. Okay, cool. Well, shout out to Strong Eyes. Thank you for breaking it down for me by the numbers. I'm willing to accept this when it's broken down like this. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jude playing 40 is totally passable. 28, come on. It's a good looking dude, but come on. Yes, for the next 17 hours, we will be debating Jod's age until Swagman finally comes in here and tells us to stop. That's the strategy. No, but I've thoroughly enjoyed Skeleton Crew season 1. I'm not holding my breath for season 2. I feel like they really did set out to tell the story that they wanted to tell. If it does get renewed and we get more adventures with these characters, I will be overjoyed. Like I would love that, but I'll also be very surprised. I don't expect it. I don't expect it, and that's partly because we know that these characters are going to be featured in other projects, which kind of takes away the need for a season 2 in this show as well. And also just like the reception of the show. I don't know if the numbers are where they need to be for Disney to be confident in ordering a second season. And that really is like the final, like the most important factor of all. Like the Acolyte proved that it doesn't matter how intense and vocal the loyal fan base of the show is. If the numbers aren't there, then it means nothing. And they're not going to get renewed. So I guess we'll wait and see on that one. But I'm walking out of this experience very happy and satisfied as a Star Wars fan, and above all else, I feel entertained. Yeah, I think that would be my summary of this. Yeah, all positive things, and the puppetry, the puppet work, I think might be the most standout aspect of the production for me. Fantastic in every episode.
Absolutely.
Well, we have almost come to the end of our podcast here. We only have one more segment left to go here. It is a very special segment. I think we all know what it is. We all love it. I'm talking, of course, about the Gonk of the week.
Yes.
It's Gonk of the week time. And today we are joined with a submission by Alex Vargas. I am speaking of this little blue beauty. Look at this guy.
Wow. That looks
great,
like a
great shape, very square.
Absolutely perfect reproduction of almost like the little wind up, oh my god, that stencil is amazing. The
Kenner Gonk.
The little wind up Gonk that you have. Yeah. Like
totally. The Galaxy's Edge one.
That color is absolutely amazing and perfect. The stencil work, phenomenal.
I love the Loth Cat down there is so fun.
The stickers,
the
the
back
detail.
too.
Oh my god, the fact that it has an iPad charger in its butt, that's
bro, he's got the freaking he's hooked up, man.
Oh my god, the fact that there's the fact that the sticker is an arrow. Oh my god.
It's so good. But look hilarious. At this dude. He's got the St. Pauli girl. He's got the little blue St. Pauli girl elephant from Skeleton Crew on the side of this thing.
And Star Tours.
That is so impressive to me. And the little Star Tours decal. I also really like that he went with the baby blue and then that like vibrant orange, which is the color scheme of the classic Kenner Gonk in the original wave of Star Wars toys. Yeah, the Loth Cat fully looks like it was drawn by Sabine. Look at that.
I'm gonna give that.
Yeah, Alex Vargas. This is a fantastic Gonk droid. And a fun fact: we've actually reviewed this Gonk before, but he was a completely different color back then.
Really?
He's been repainted and he's been given all new greebles and all new decals, which is why it's been resubmitted for a new go through here. But I love it. We've got safety warning labels on them. We've got all kinds of Orabesh. It's such a good Gonk, dude. Such a good Gonk. I don't think this Gonk has a name. He didn't tell me if this one has a name of any kind, but I know. He looks like a Bluey to me. His name's Bluey.
I love him. I would give him 99 out of 12 Gonks.
99 out of 12. Whoo! Slow down. Okay, that is one of the higher scores that we've done. Not even the highest, though, I will say. But definitely a high score. Well, you put me in a hell of a position, man.
This gives me, I don't know. He inspires me. He gives me both Bad Batch. He gives me both Bad Batch vibes, and he also gives me like, I don't know, just like he's just a little guy. Look at him.
He's just a little guy. 100%. He's just a little guy. Look at that little stubby face. The one big camera eye is very cute too. Well, see, you put me between a rock and a hard place here, Bendu, because obviously I want to give him a good score. This is a very impressive piece. But I can't score him lower than you did. And you just gave him 99? So I guess we're doing it. I guess we're going triple digits. No.
I can't downgrade my own.
You can't do that to him.
You just this little Gonk.
Ultimate disrespect.
He sparks so much joy. Oh
he
my
does.
god! The fact that there's a little Jabba dog toy, chew toy in the background.
I always end up doing that when people submit their builds. I always end up just like checking out their room and looking at all the other Star Wars stuff that they've got in the background. we got some Black Series over here. We got this little Poe
Yeah,
Dameron
right?
helmet.
But like that little photo bombing Jabba plushie. But like,
Yeah.
look at this little guy. This little guy just like inspired. He reminds me of Sabine. He reminds me of like Omega and like her time with the Bad Batch. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
It has,
And
the-
that really is the
repressed-
proper. That I think is the measure of a good Gonk was when it is evocative of multiple things like that.
the
There's no-
Oktoberfest. The fact that it has the Oktoberfest.
Yes.
sticker.
Yes, that is maybe my favorite detail on it, and a very impressive detail that he was able to lift that so quickly too.
The butt charger. I think the butt charger cord for me is so cute and hilarious, and the fact that it has an arrow, like input here. That's so goddamn.
Input here, buddy.
That's so funny. That's so classic, so perfect. And it's in the left cheek. It's so goddamn it. That's so funny. You just smack it. You just want to spank it. Like, that's so funny. Yeah, 99 gonks. 99 out of 12 gonks.
99 gonks and a spank, apparently.
Yeah, I can't.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, we have
It's
reached
so-
a new level of depravity in our love for gonks, and you know what? I'll allow it. Okay, well, I think I'm going triple digits because you've left me no choice here. So I'm going with 111 gonks.
Oh, for the oh man, we got to get the number alliteration.
11st, the first gonk to get 11 points. But Alex Vargas, dude, my dude, you've nailed it.
My 111th, dude, that gonk looks like it would be a Bilbo Baggins birthday cake. That's exactly that. That's hilarious. It looks like a Bilbo birthday cake. Of course, it would be 111.
That is so extremely specific, and yet I see it. I see the vision. That's accurate.
111th. It was Bilbo's 111th birthday when he disappeared.
I mean, that's definitely where I plucked the number from. But I think that you've earned every point of it.
It's a birthday.
And please, if you recustomize this gonk again in the future, please give us updated pictures because we'd love to rate it again. There's no like upper limit. There's no statute of limitations on ranking a gonk droid. Just so everybody's aware. Yeah, this has been the Dork Forces podcast, everybody. Episode 94. We recapped Skeleton Crew. We talked about a couple things that are happening out there in the world of Star Wars. Some casting rumors for Ahsoka. A villain rumor for Mandalorian and Grogu. We talked about a horse that doesn't want to stop being an AT-AT. And you know what? I think that's very beautiful. And I want to end with that. I want that to be the note that we end on. Everyone, just appreciate this horse with me one more time. Just appreciate him, all right? He's doing the best he can. And this man looks so like fucking like he's got that cheeky, proud grin. He's like, I know what I did. I know I've technically caused a problem here, but I know what I did, and it's kind of cool. Oh man. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. We really enjoyed nerding out with you all every week here on the Dork Forces podcast. We will be back next week. Time slot TBA. We're going to have to get together and decide whether we want to continue doing Tuesday nights at this late time after the episodes, or if we want to start the podcast a little earlier. But whenever we go live, we will make sure to let you know all about it. So stay tuned for that announcement. Bendu, do you have any final closing remarks before we say goodnight?
Thank you, everyone, again, who joins us live in the comments and the various social medias. You can always message us on what you enjoyed most about Star Wars, about Skeleton Crew, or about what any upcoming meet and greets that we end up doing. Again, like I said, Emerald City Comic-Con is within 2 months. So, yeah.
I can't wait.
After that, and then literally a month after that, Star Wars Celebration in Tokyo in April.
Yeah,
So,
I'm doing back-to-back cons for that. And then Andor Season 2 is also happening in that same time frame. So it's not goodbye. It's just see you later. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been the Dork Forces podcast. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time. As always, may the Force be with you.